Morning everybody and welcome back to the Roundup. Johnny, delighted to have you on as always. Nice Christmas jumper as well.
I know, cheers mate. I thought it was probably going to be the last time I'll see you and the viewers before Christmas, so I thought I'd make the effort, seeing as we're getting close to the big man coming down the chimney. So
It's much appreciated. Apologies, my throat's quite sore. We're only an hour after the Celtic and Rangers Cup final and I just screamed at the telly for 2 hours. Before we start, we've got our sponsor, the Fitness Factory at Unit 6, 8 Garlock Road in Port Glasgow. The Fitness Factory are supporting all genders, ages and fitness levels to overcome gym anxiety and work towards your healthiest self. Let's build confidence together. Check them out on Instagram at the Fitness Factory 7. Oh, right. I am a bit out of the gaffer now. So we'll just go with the Junior Cup. We had one 4th round game and we had a couple of 5th round. We'll get through them and then we'll go into league action. Quite a good week for league action. 4th round of the Junior Cup, Troon 1, Lochee United 1, 5-4 to Troon in penalties. 5th round, Beath 1, Largs 3, Lugar 0, Benburb 4, Darvel 2, Johnson Borough 3. Troon, really well done to Troon, getting himself into the next round, winning in penalties against Lochee. Lochee might not be as maybe know what they were a few years back. I know very little about that kind of side of the junior football there, but I remember Lochee being a very big side. But that's a good result for Troon to get himself through to the next round. Largs 3-1 against Beath. I think they'll probably be disappointed it wasn't in the league, but that's another good result for Largs, and it continues Beath's very, very so-so season for me. Then we've got 4-0 to the Bends against Lugar. I don't think there's a great shock in the fact that a Premier League side have beaten a 3rd division side. Darvel and Borough was quite interesting. Darvel 2-0 up. Borough managed to pull it back late on. Again, they'll be disappointed it's not in the league, but I think that's Darvel's first defeat in 90 minutes in months now. So, not the end of the world for them, but a good result for Borough all the same.
aye, just running through them. Obviously, Troon, you're right about Lochee. I remember them playing Auchinleck in the semis a few years ago, when they were really strong. But still, they're one of the top teams through there, so they've got to be treated with respect. And Troon went down to 10 men pretty early on as well. Brian Wharton gets sent off. So that's a real good performance for them. They actually took the lead with 10 men, and then I think Lochee scored right late on. I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter, but there's an unbelievable picture that when Lochee scored the equaliser, a guy in a wheelchair's went on the park, basically like a pitch invasion in his wheelchair. It's amazing. It's an amazing picture. Fair play to the guy. It's absolutely brilliant. And I know we say all the time about how much we love this level of football, but that's
you're not getting that anywhere else.
Why you're not going to get that watching the Premier League or stuff like that. So, but to have 10 men to beat a top team for the East, and then go through to the next round, they play Armadale at home in the new year, again at home. So it's another really good opportunity for them to get into what would be like the quarterfinals of the Scottish Cup. So, and if you look at the teams that are still in it, you would think that Troon might be looking at that, thinking we can maybe go all the way here, especially the way that the league season's going.
Do you know when the last time Troon won the Scottish was?
Oof, no,
I have no clue. I'm asking, but
I've no idea.
I'd imagine
I know they won the West. I know they won the West in the 90s. The 90s, I think, and then obviously they won the Ayrshire. Jimmy won the Ayrshire as well. But the Scottish, I'm not sure.
If anybody could fire us a wee comment and let us know about that. We'll move on. We'll no dwell on the cup action too much.
I'll just say a wee bit about our games. Is that all right?
Fire away.
I like to give the Lugar boys a wee shout out. So, to be honest, I'm saying that, but there's actually not much to talk about because it was a very professional, what you would call Premier League performance for Benburb. They were well worth their victory. We can't have any complaints about it. They scored a couple of really good goals, and there was just they handled the conditions well. So congratulations to them, and I wish them all the best in the kind of next few rounds. But it's probably just exactly like you would expect a Premier League team coming to a lower league team just to come down, get the job done, and so on. And then finally, obviously Johnstonborough, a great bit of character from them coming back from 2-0 behind. I'm trying to take the load off you here by talking a bit more. I listened to Muddy's interview after the game, and he took a bit of the flack. He put the flack on himself basically for going 2-0 behind by saying that he'd set them up differently. I don't know whether it was a shape or tactics or whatever he'd done, but he obviously rectified that, and then they've come back out to. I think he said it was really important they got the goal back going into the half, because I think if they went in 2-0 at half time, it's maybe a different story. But you know yourself, if you get a goal, get into half time, and you're 2-1 down, you feel like, right, we've got a wee bit of momentum, go and change a few things, and come out and win the game. So, congratulations to them as well.
It does seem like the Borough are they're slowly and quietly going about their business. They're getting a lot of good results, a lot of results you'd probably expect them to get, but they're
Mhm.
getting them and
They-
consistently getting them. So it is,
They've got good players. They've got good players, like some of the best players in the league. Do you know what I mean? It's just about Murdy trying to find the way to get the best out of them, and I'm sure he will. You know, that's the challenge. It's everybody always kind of says, "Oh, it's easy if you've got money or you've got the best players and stuff like that." But you know yourself, you need to work out how to get the best out of these boys, and you need to work out how to set them up, give them the right messages, take them through what you want them to do in order to make them fulfill their potential. Because it's no good. How many times have we seen it where you get a team of 11 boys and you just stick them on the part, and because they're better than the other team, you think they're going to win. It doesn't happen.
nah.
You know, a manager's really, really important, especially in a team like that. And I'm sure Murdy maybe yesterday was just looking for something else, maybe a wee alternative or whatever. And then all credit to him. That's a sign of a good coach who's been able to change it and get the response for his team to go on and win the game.
Yep. Moving on to the Premier League. Talbot 2, Pollock 1, Drumchapel 0, Gartcairn 2, Glenafton 1, Clydebank 1, Shotts 0, Hurlford 0, St Carrick's 3, Cumnock 1. Obviously, we'll start on the Glenafton Clydebank game quickly because that's 2 draws in a row for Clydebank in the league, lost last week to the Rock. I don't think there's any panic buttons being hit or anything. But for me, I actually want to touch more on Glenafton this week. I think Paul's done a really good job. That's 4 games unbeaten for them now, 2 wins, 2 draws. That's nice, steady points they're picking up, and that's points that are really starting to take them away for the relegation zone. They're now 9 points away from the relegation zone. They're looking like they're going to start being a team who are a bit more competitive and start causing some issues. I think it's a really good point for them. It's not the end of the world for Clydebank either, drawing it. Still 10 games, 8 wins, 2 draws is really, it's not exactly a time to panic,
Mhm.
but it's another game where they've no won, and I wonder if that could potentially start to play on people's minds.
I don't think so, PG, to be honest. I mean, you look at where they're sitting, they've now played 10 games, so they're a third of the way through the season. They're 4 points clear with 2 games in hand over their next challengers. I'm sure if you'd ask Gordon at the start of the season,
Uh,
would you take that? I'm sure he'd absolutely bite your hand off, and it doesn't really matter how you get there. They've got the points on the board, so um, I'm sure they'll not be panicking. They'll just, I think you can't expect a team to win
no,
all the time, like every week. It's impossible in football. Like we all know that. So they'll be fine. And you're right about Paul. I remember when he first came in, and we'd spoken about, he'd made some comments in the local press about the players not being good enough, needing to get new players in and all that kind of stuff. And we discussed, we weren't sure how that would go. And all credit to him, because he's managed to find the magic, whatever it is, whatever he's done. And you're right, they're now approaching real safe territory, when you probably couldn't have said that a few weeks ago. So
aye.
massive credit to him, and his first job as well as a manager. It's always difficult, so I feel credit to him, and I'm sure the guys down at Glenafton, who are a great bunch, will be really pleased with how things are going.
Aye, definitely. And the thing is, even last week, they got a win in the Cup against Gartcairn, who, despite Gartcairn having their issues that have been touched at length, still a good win because Gartcairn are showing that yesterday. We'll actually move on to them just now. Beating Drumchapel 2-0. It's a really good result. I think the Drum are starting to slow down a wee touch. I mean, they've lost 3 of the last 4 in the league. But I would have said for the Drum, if you'd said at the start of the season, what's the aims, you'd have said stay in the league. That's all that really matters. They've done that already. I mean, they're not going to capitulate to that level. They are they're very comfortable at the moment. But Gartcairn, they really had to go and get the win. We spoke about it with them losing last week and stuff like that. If that went into league form, it becomes an issue if they keep losing the odd game here and there, and it could be a problem. But it's a bit of a statement as well. It's a really good result for them yesterday.
It's a really good result, and it's a funny one because you look at it and go, that's a really good result for Gartcairn, but if Gartcairn were only doing the bottom of the league with a point deduction, you wouldn't really think it was
Nah,
that
just
much
say
of a
it's a
shock
good
result.
result.
You just say it's a decent result away to Drumchapel. And it's interesting because I know I heard you and Dino talking last week about the mentality of the players at Gartcairn as well, and how they keep it's a real tough job to kind of keep them going and get them now ready for a relegation scrap and win as many games as you can. And they did have a sticky patch recently where what they hadn't won in 3 league games, but to go to Drumchapel, which is a tough place to go, and win, that'll fill them with belief. Only thing is, they've got they're well ahead in games.
Aye.
The other teams down there, and whether that's going to come back to bite them, you don't know. But results like Saturday will definitely put them in the right kind of place if they want to try and stay in the league.
At the bottom end of the table, with two interesting results for me. Shots in Hurlford. I think, see, if you were to look at form and expected goals, if we were going down that route, 0-0 was a stick on for the two of them. Between the two of them, have played 23 games and they have scored 18 goals. So I think that was a stick on. It was going to be like that. For me, that's your two teams that are gone. I think they're, in my opinion, I can't. Shots in my eyes are really don't have much of a chance of getting up. But the two of them have only won 2 games between them all season.
Mm-hmm.
Hurlford knows bad. They pick up points, and we've touched on that previously, how important points can be at the bottom end of that table. But they've lost 7. They've not won any in the last 6. I think they got put out of the cup last week. They're really, really toiling, and I'm struggling to see where they're going to pick up many points.
Mm-hmm.
And then St Cadoc's beating Cumnock. Cumnock, for me, they're in that. I mean, I know they've got games in hand against teams, but they're in that pack as well, who could really be struggling and could be in a bit of trouble.
Mm-hmm. I think they could be, because it's one of those things that I know they're saying about Gartcairn having played more games, but you're then assuming that the teams down the bottom of the league are going to win games, and that's, if you look at the form of the teams down the bottom, that's no a given.
No.
So whilst Gartcairn have got games, they've played more games, you can't assume that teams are going to win them, and you can't assume Cumnock's going to go and win them. I watched them last Saturday, as you know, against Benburb, and I just felt they just lacked a wee spark, a wee cutting edge. Do you know what I mean? And they've got good players. They've got good players, but they just. I know there's been a load of injuries down there and stuff like that this season, so it's been a really tough job for Stephen. But they just look as if there's something missing. Does that make sense?
Aye.
Like from them, and I'm sure that they'll be working their socks off. Both the guys down there to kind of turn it round. And Hurlford, like you said, we've said it before. They've only won 1 game this season. That's relegation form, if ever there was relegation form, and the teams getting the deducted points gives them that hope. And I'll probably contradict myself, because I know I say a lot when teams are down the bottom that points come in handy and points feel good, but I feel like that yesterday was a point each that probably didn't really help either team. I think if Hurlford had managed to win that, then that puts them in a strong position. And same with Shots, it puts the pressure on Gartcairn. It just felt like it was, it's not really done anybody any favours, to be honest.
And I appreciate that Darvel haven't won a single game in a league and they've got their points deduction. But based off of how they've been in the last couple of months, I can see Darvel picking up points in the league. I mean, it might not be enough to keep them up, but I feel like Shots are in more trouble than Darvel, despite having an extra 4 points. And I feel that Hurlford are getting themselves into that position. But the final game in the Premier League, Talbot 2, Pollock 1. Pollock obviously on the back of without it being disrespectful with Muirkirk, because it's nothing to do with Muirkirk, embarrassing result for Pollock, and I don't think that they would mind me saying that, because it's no a good result at all for Pollock last week. they'd have been looking to bounce back and go and pick up some points. Losing 2-1 at the Talbot at Beechwood, that's not exactly a terrible result at all, but Maxi would really be looking to try and pick up some points. And Pollard are another one where I think they've got enough about them that they won't go down. But they're another one where if a couple more results go against you, you could get sucked easily back into that kind of pack trying to fight relegation. So it's something that they need to be mindful of. But I know obviously they will be, but it's something that I
Aye.
think they need to be mindful of.
Aye, I mean, I think personally, I think they'll be all right, but their form going into yesterday, I mean, that's them now three defeats on the bounce in the league.
Yep.
And it's a great result for Auchinleck to kind of they were 5 without win at least in the league. So so it's a really important win for them to kind of put themselves back in saying like we can start to move up the table. And it's good to see Connor Boyd getting a couple of goals as well. So I like the boy. I think he's a really good striker. So it's good to see him in amongst the goals again.
Aye, definitely. And we're going to move on to the first division. Arthurlie 3, Meda 1, Blantyre 1, Ashfield 1, Cumbernauld 1, Ardrossan 0, Kilbirnie 1, St Roch's 1, Maple 1, Petershill 3, Kilwinning 1, Thornywood 0, Robroy 2, Gartcairn 2. For me, yesterday, and I know it's exceptionally early, it's just over a third of the way through the season, but for me, I think that Arthurlie won the league yesterday with 5 teams below them all dropping points. I'm really struggling to see. I'm struggling to see where they're not going to win the league, and that was a massive result for them yesterday, beating Meda, because Meda have been in form of late and they're definitely an improved side. It's just a good win for them, and then everybody else dropping points about them.
I think was it no. It was 2 weeks ago we spoke, and a lot of the other top teams had dropped points that week as well.
Yep.
Renfrew had won, but I think the rest of the St Roch's Rutherglen had dropped points. So that's 2 weeks in a row. Those second and third place have dropped points. Rutherglen are on a real bad
I know,
kind of
bad
a real
run.
sticky run. 1 win and 6 in the last 6 in the league. So they'll be wanting to address that. But you're probably right. I think Arthurlie, we've always said they were probably going to win the league anyway. So if your team's running about you're dropping points, the only thing you can do is take advantage of it. And they've done that well yesterday.
They're sitting on 29 points with the Rock 27, Glencairn 26, Renfrew 25, Thornywood 22. But Arthurlie have 3 games in hand on the Rock, 2 games in hand on Glencairn, 2 games in hand on Renfrew, and 1 in hand against Thornywood. It's hard to see past that, and I think it's between 5 or 6 teams potentially fighting out for the other 2 spots, which it still makes it really interesting. But barring anything happening, it's quite similar to Clydebank in the Premier League. Barring a real dip in form, it's hard to see Arthurlie not winning it.
No.
I think
brings everybody else closer
aye,
together though,
it
as well
does.
underneath it.
It does.
Especially, I mean, you're even looking at Kilwinning now. Do you know what I mean?
I
Just
know that was a big win for them
it's,
yesterday.
I know, and especially getting beat from the same team the week
Aye.
before. I thought the Twitter guy for Kilwinning didn't do his manager any favours with his tweet last week anyway. But to go out then this week and beat the same team is a really strong performance for them, and it does bring. I mean, if they win if they win their games in hand, it'll put them right in amongst it, right? And they're unbeaten in at least 6. So who says that they can't win their games in
Well,
hand and
that's
put
the
themselves
thing.
in it?
They've got 2 games in hand on Glencairn and Renfrew, and if they win those 2 games in hand, they go into 3rd place.
I know.
So
And with the other
that's
teams, the teams at the top, no really performing as they might like to. Dropping points. Second and third place teams dropping points, and Renfrew drawing yesterday, and Thornywood getting beat, obviously. So,
see,
they're
honest.
going the right way.
You're looking at the league table. Petershill and Cumbernauld, they're not there on either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cumbernauld are sitting in 18 points in 9th place, but played 11 games. They win 2 of those 3 in hand, or 3 of the 4 they've got in hand against the Rock, and that's them right back in the hunt. They're properly in it, and that was a big win for them against Ardrossan yesterday, because Ardrossan would have been quite similar, where I think they've probably just pushed themselves out of that promotion hunt because they've played more games. But if they'd won that yesterday, they were still right in the hunt, so it was a really big one. One
And I
that's
think we thought probably Petershill. Well, I certainly thought Petershill would be up there, competing to go up. So they've probably underperformed this season so far. So they'll be looking to, I would imagine, try and get back up there and
aye.
get in amongst it. But it's good to have, again, listening to you and Dino talking last week about the leagues and stuff like that and the kind of excitement level. But it's great. It's great for us that we've got so many teams that if they put a run together, then they could come from nowhere. I mean, winning the start of the season, there was people questioning whether Kevin was the right man for the job, and like, oh, who's this we've appointed? You know what I mean, that kind of thing. And now he's got them in a real good place. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the
Well,
next few weeks if they can
Arthur,
really make a run.
Arthur are the only team to have lost less games than Cowannon.
Hmm.
And that's quite interesting itself. Too many draws maybe for Cowannon, but they've only lost 2 out of 12 games. That's pretty good. That's pretty good going. A big one for me yesterday. Really disappointing for Rob Roy. Now, granted, looking at the form, Rob Roy are picking up wee points here and there, but they were 2-0 up with a couple of minutes to go yesterday, and then Glencairn go and get a late goal, and then go and get an injury time winner, and that's a real sore one, because that extra 2 points would have just given them that nice wee extra cushion over the Meda, Ashfield, and Blantyre, and they really could have done with it. But I suppose it shows some good spirit for Glencairn being able to pull it back.
No, it does. It just means that Rob Roy's they've got a 5 point cushion from the medal, and you're looking at Armada going to be able to pick up enough points in their 3 games in hand to kind of challenge them. But I'd be worried if I was Rob Roy looking over my shoulder, because they're on a real bad run of form, and it seems like every time we're talking, they're dropping points, you know. So they'll be worried about that, and they'll be looking at ways to address it. Maybe the Christmas period will come at a good time for them, where they'll be able to regroup and maybe push again into the new year, and especially with the teams above them, with Vale of Clyde that are on a really good
Aye.
unbeaten run, and they are picking up points here and there, which is just slowly but surely moving them away from that danger zone. So, I think they'll be kind of worried up at Kirkintilloch, definitely.
I think so. We'll move on to the second division. Bellshill 2, Whitlets 2, Lanark 4, Cambuslang 2, Lark Hall 1, Maryhill 0, Bonneton 3, Forth 3, Cali Locals 1, Neilston 2, Yoker 1, Muirkirk 2. Top 2 teams picking up good points, good wins for both of them. Neilson, I think that's 10 wins in a row for them in the league. It's incredible run of form there, and they're deserving of where they are. Muirkirk, after losing to Neilson, getting a great result last week, showing a bit of quality. Because even though Yoker are sitting mid-table, Yoker are kind of funny team. They do cause teams issues, and they're a tough team to beat. So that was another really good result for both of them yesterday.
I think that it was important for Muirkirk to get back to winning ways. You know, I know they had the high of last week, where they would have been absolutely buzzing with that result, but you don't want to get yourself into the kind of situation that they were in, and then just kind of let it go away after Christmas. So it was, after having a couple of sticky results and getting beat off Neilston, it was really important that they got a win. And you're right, going to Yoker's not easy. So congratulations to them getting a really good result. Neilston are flying, absolutely flying. You just unbelievable run they're on. It's incredible, and fair play to them. And down the bottom, you're looking, Maryhill are just an absolute free fall, aren't they? Really, it's just, and they're now 4 points behind St Anne's, 2 games in hand, but on the run that they're on, where's the wins coming from? I'm not sure. I don't know if they play Forth or Craigmark coming up recently in the next few weeks, or even St Anne's. I don't know, but they need to try and find a way to address this slide, because it's it's getting really worrying if I was a Maryhill fan, because I just don't see where the next win's coming
Well,
from.
that's 9 games in a row without a win.
Hmm.
I
And
mean,
that starts to kill it. You know
uh,
yourself, that can even kill a dressing room. Do you know what I mean? It's just you lose a goal and everybody's just kind of looking at each other, going, "Oh, here we go again," and you just lose that belief that you can get something. So something needs to change, whether it's a different tactics, different players, that kind of stuff. The manager will be racking his brains, thinking, yourself, you think, like,
it's
what can I
like
do
it's
to
like we
try and.
touched on as well. Barring the Cumbernauld game where they took a proper doing, every game's a goal or two. It's not
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
there is, like I said, barring the Cumbernauld game, which was a cup game and that, they're not getting beat threes and fours. So it shows that there's no much in it, but they've got that thing where
Aye, but they're the worst.
aye, I
That's
know,
the
but
worst, though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
that's when you're in that habit of
that,
losing because you
aye,
get into a
I
habit
know,
of losing and you just can't pick up points. And they don't have
and you
another
feel like
game.
somebody makes a mistake or somebody doesn't mark their man for a corner. Do you know what I mean? And it just kills you, and you're like, as a manager, I did just the off here, but you're tearing your
Uh-huh.
hair out, like going, do you know what I mean? Like, we're in all these games, but we just keep shooting ourselves in the foot, and losing them, and it just racks up and racks up. It's
They
really
don't have
painful.
another game until the 11th of January as well.
Right,
So
okay.
it's quite a lengthy spell with it playing, and particularly with that like no harm to the boys, they'll be away enjoying their own Christmas night out, their works Christmas nights, Christmas itself, New Year. I'm no betting that many guys at this level look after themselves well enough through this period to come back fitter than when they get their break. But they've got Bells Hill. Bells Hill have picked up a wee bit
Hmm.
of form.
Hmm.
Then you've got Lanark, another really tough game.
Hmm.
Then they're away to Bonneton, which is a tricky one.
Hmm.
Then they've got Craig Mark, where you have to win. I don't think there's
Aye.
no other way around that. You have to win that game. But even at that, you're looking at potentially 3 or 4 points for the next 4 games. And based on how it is for them just now, that's lucky if it gets you tied with the Ants who are out in the
Hmm.
relegation zone. That's if the Ants lose
Hmm.
all their games. So it's a really tough spell for them.
And you maybe even look at it doing like a mini pre-season or something like that, or
Hmm.
just something. Maybe even if you've not got a game to the 11th of January, maybe you just tell the boys to stay away for the next 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Just and come back fresh in the new year and get 3 or 4 really good training sessions under your belt. Just to kind of freshen things up or something. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I don't know the manager at Maryhill, but I'm sure he'll be racking his brains to think of ways that he can address this, because if he doesn't, then they're squarely looking at the third division.
Aye, definitely. You're looking at you're looking at Whitlets just now as well.
Hmm.
Lanark getting that win yesterday against Cambuslang, who
Hmm.
Cambuslang, we've touched on it at length. They're a team who they're really struggling just now as well. Bellshill getting a great point against them to push themselves ahead of Cambuslang. But for me, Whitlets, what's happening there, that there seems to have been such a positive start, and then they're just dropping so many points. And
Hmm.
I mean, they're starting to fall away from it. I know they've got a game in hand against Lanark, but they're now
Hmm.
3 points back for the promotion spots. Lark Hall right in their heels as well. It's
Hmm.
a bit testy for them.
Aye, I think they obviously had a really good start to the season, and they've just kind of faltered a wee bit and been a bit inconsistent the last few weeks. But I'm sure they'll be looking to get promoted. They're still very much in the hunt, of course they are, but
Aye.
you would just like to see them get back to that kind of level of consistency that they showed at the start of the season when they were playing really well, and they took 7 off fourth, and you know what I mean, they were really going good guns. So it'll be interesting again just to see if they can regain that kind of consistency when the kind of football kicks in the new year. And Cambuslang, I think the thing with Cambuslang, I don't know why this is, but I always just feel like they'll just win a game here or there that you
Aye.
maybe don't expect them to, and that'll be enough for them
I
to
agree.
stay safe.
Like you look at on the last 6 games in form, they've lost four and won two. Sorry,
Hmm.
that is what they do, and that's kind of that 1 point per game ratio will be enough for them because
Hmm.
if they can continue that type of form to the end of the season, as much as it might be frustrating for Paul and the players, that'll keep them up. So
Hmm.
that's the bare minimum I think they need to do. Moving on to the third division. Irvine 4, Vale Even 1, Coolside 8, Wishaw 0, Greenock 2, Dorai 0, Irvine Vics 2, Thorn 6. Couple of interesting games that have had an impact on promotion and relegation.
Mhm.
Greenock, 5 wins in the bounce in the league, really doing well. Because I think Dorai are a decent side for me in that league. They're one of the teams that can kind of go and beat anybody on their day. It's a really big
Mhm.
win for them. The Thorn beating Irvine Vics 6-2, 12 goals in 2 games for the Thorn, and you've somehow only come away with 3 points. But that's a really big one for them. And Irvine Vics has the wee bounce, is it is the wee bubble burst that they've had since the new management team came in. They had a couple of good results, 2 defeats in a row. Losing to the Thorn, they're expected to win that game. But how do they bounce back for that after having the initial wee bounce you get when the new management come in?
And again, they've played more games than the teams
Yep.
run about them down the bottom, which is disappointing. I'm sure that after getting those couple of good results, they'd be really disappointed to still find themselves down there because it's now again halfway through the season. They are now, so you're starting to get really nervous. Like, I know from my own experience, I think you're looking at this stage of the season, you're thinking, right, there's a real possibility we could get relegated here if we don't get our
Mhm.
fingers out. And I think for me coming into the league this year with Luger, I certainly looked. If you'd asked me to kind of place where I thought each team would finish at the start of the season, Irvine Vics would have been closer to the top and closer to the
Aye.
bottom, definitely for me. So it's been a really disappointing season for them. The other results, great result for Girvan
Yep.
getting that
Massive result.
victory. I know they've had a real kind of tough run recently, and I know Dino's been working his socks off to try and turn it around, and he's never wavered in his positivity and his message to the players, and I love him to bits. So I was absolutely delighted for them to get that victory, and that kind of brings Vela leaving into it a wee bit as well,
Yep.
and then that brings them closer to us as well, which is
You
so it
guys have
just
you
tight.
guys have got the bonus though, having the 2 games in hand, and
I know, but you've got to win them though,
no,
PG.
I
Do you know what I mean?
understand that,
That's like
but
we play Glasgow Uni next week, so
is it
chance for us to
home
go
or
above
away?
them at home.
So that's a slight
Um,
benefit to yourselves that it's home.
they pumped us away from home, so it's a good chance for us to go above them, but it just brings everybody closer together
Yep.
with Girvan getting that victory, and obviously with Glasgow United no playing, and brings Vale leaving into it as well, which is it's a state. I'm surprised that Vale leaving as well. I thought they would have been kind of middle to top as well. I liked
Aye.
them whenever we played against them. I thought they were a good side. Um, so I'm sure they'll be disappointed. What a result for Coolside
Aye. Great
as
result.
well. I
Great
know
result.
it's everybody looks and says, "Oh, it's only Wishaw," but it's not. You need to go and beat these teams, and to go anywhere and win 8-0. I'm sure the way that Bailey sets his team up and the way they play, they're capable of doing that. If they can exploit you, then they will. But it brings them right into the promotion hunt as well.
It does.
Definitely
Because
does.
you look at Perthshire and Ardeer, all within 3 points of them, and but all got games in hand. And Dorai are still in that hunt, kind of in the periphery, where they might have played the same games. They probably won't have enough to go up unless they string 4 or 5 wins together and put themselves right back in it. For me, Wishaw, as is got to prepare for life in the fourth division next year. There's as much as he's a mate, he's been great on this show and stuff, and I really like the way he talks about the game. I would love for them to stay up. It's not going to happen. It's absolutely no chance for me. That's that. I know most of these games won they before his time. It's something I've touched on a few times.
Hmm.
But Wishaw have won 7 games in 44 league games
Hmm.
over the last season and a half, really.
Why is that though? I don't really know much about them. Like, what's happened in the last two seasons or so?
I don't know. I don't know because we played them last year with Craig Martin, beat them.
Hmm.
They weren't great, but I would not have said they were awful. Like, I wouldn't have said
Hmm.
they were horrible or anything like that. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I really don't know what's going on there.
Hmm.
Not
Well, the
one
good thing
win.
with Aaron is he can. If you assume that they are going to have to prepare for relegation or whatever, then he's got in time. He's got half a season to shape that team the way that he wants them, because we know he's got a very definitive way that he wants to play the game, which is great, and he'll stick to it and he'll stick by it regardless. So it gives him time to see, first of all, how are the players that he's got there capable of doing what he wants them to do.
Mhm.
And if they're not, then he's got half a season to evaluate them and go and find other boys and go and bring boys in, or ship boys out that maybe can't do what he wants them to do. And then try and create a wee bit of momentum going into next season, to try and come back up. I don't know if he's got more resource at Wishaw than he did at East Kilbride, but it'll give him time to really get his message across without too much pressure on you. No scrambling about trying to
Aye.
get points here and there to try and stay in the league. Everybody's assuming that you're already gone. So it takes that wee bit of pressure off, where he can really put his stamp on the team and get them playing the way he wants them to play. So it'll be interesting to see if, and I'm sure they will, improve over the second half of the season, building into next year.
I hope that, without knowing any background, I really hope that the committee have it in place that if they, obviously yesterday's could be an outlier, if they feel that the team is improving or making progress in certain areas, that they just write this season off and just say, right, we'll give them time and we'll see. Because Wishaw should be a team that, if they go down, they should be a team that would be looking to be competitive in that fourth division. On the fourth division, we'll move on to it. Royal Albert 1, Saltcoats 0, Curluck 3, Rossvale 3, Easterhouse 9, BSC 0, Knightswood 1, East Kilbride 1, Port Glasgow 7, Newmains 1, West Park 5, Campbelltown 4, Giffnock 3, Eglinton 5. Big one for me, Knightswood dropping points to East Kilbride. We're just talking about as of there, his former club. It's a really good point for East Kilbride. And I think in terms of, obviously, I want, not harm to Knightswood or anything else, but I want the Port to win that league. But in terms of neutrals, it makes it a bit more interesting because it's looked like Knightswood are well gone. If the Port can beat them in the next, I think it's the next 6 to 8 weeks to play each other, the Port can beat them,
Right.
you're looking at a real proper title race here.
Aye, that'll be a cracker. Going into that, that'll be really good. And hopefully both teams continue their good form and the run up to it. Because you're right, I certainly thought Knightswood were going to run away with it. And credit to Port Glasgow, who have been hot on their heels and relentless in their pursuit of them. So it's really exciting. Obviously, those two will battle out to see who wins the league and who finishes second, and then the rest will be kind of playing for the third playoff spot, third promotion spot. Sorry, but that'll be a really good one. I'm sure you'll try and get along to that one if you
Oh,
can.
definitely. Knightswood obviously drawn yesterday. In the last league game, 4-3 against Saltcoats, and in the league game before that, 3-2 against Easterhouse. Easterhouse is a bit different because that's a promotion contender with them. But that's 3 league games where it's been tighter. They've not had the convincing wins that they were getting. Maybe they tiring a wee touch. Or other teams just raising their game when they play against Knightswood. But I think the
I think
Port.
that's probably a bit of that, because you probably didn't, you maybe didn't know that much about them.
Aye.
Yeah, if you looked at their lineup, they'll obviously get players that you recognise. So that's usually the first thing that people, that especially boys and coaches at this level, because social media is not always great for keeping on top of who's playing with who. But so you look at your team and you would recognise a few boys, so you would think, right, okay, they could be no bad, but you don't really know that much about them. So maybe they kind of caught everybody a wee bit by surprise at the start of the season, and then now everybody's kind of saying, right, we need to, and I'm not saying managers don't prepare fully for every team, but they're maybe just looking at it a bit closer, saying, right, how can we beat this team? This is a really good side. We need to look at videos, and we need to speak to other managers, and we need to try and find out what we need to do to stop them and how we can exploit them and stuff like that. So there's maybe a wee bit of that as well, aye.
Port were 1-0 down against Newmains, and then I'm only basing it on what I've seen at Twitter. I've not spoken to anybody since yesterday. They managed to get themselves ahead, and then it looked like Newmains just crumbled the last 15 minutes. Because I'm pretty sure it was like 2-3-1 up until the last 15 minutes, and then Port have absolutely steamrolled them, and it's such a good result for them. And something that might come in handy is the fact that now puts them ahead of Knightswood in goal difference. which is something that might come into play later in the season. 58 goals they've scored in 14 games.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
They're definitely hitting form. Somebody we don't talk a great deal about, and it was a very uninspiring one in a sense, 5-4 against Campbelltown. But West Park, 6 wins in a row in the league. And with Easterhouse bouncing back after 2 straight defeats to Knightswood and Rossvale, you go and get a nice 9-0 BSC. 75 goals they've conceded in 14 games. It's about as bad as it can be for you. But Easterhouse, you got to go out and do the job, and they did it.
Aye, and especially after losing two games in a row, you can maybe never. No, maybe there's not a lot of boys that have been in that position at the top end of the table that often. So Santa's came and gave them an early Christmas present by giving them a game against BSC to kind of see them into the festive period. So it was good for them to get a win. And like you said, West Park, they've really capitalised on Kello's wee stumble.
Yep.
They've really capitalised on that and overtaken them in the hunt for that kind of third promotion spot. So there's everything to play for at the top end of the table. I definitely think you'll be looking, we said before, Eglinton sneaking into it as well. So you're probably looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1 from 5, I would say, is what it's going to be. And there'll be points dropped and there'll be surprise results all over the place in the next wee while. So it'll be interesting to see going into the second half of the season.
And Rossvale, again, I've not spoken to Josh this weekend, but 3-3 with Carluke. And myself and Dino were talking about it last week. I said Carluke would be a really tough game. Just looking at Carluke's recent games, obviously 3 each yesterday. They lost to the Drum last week, but that's kind of irrelevant. They beat St Peter's 5-2 in the league, draw with Royal Albert, and Royal Albert are improving again. They get a draw with Kello. They beat Glenvale in the Cup. Then they get a bit of doing off of the Port. But since the Port game, they've had some really solid results. Too many draws probably for their liking, but it's draws against good sides in the league, and they're really starting to show a wee bit of quality and pick up some points. And I think Josh will be bitterly disappointed that they've not been able to capitalise on the great win against Easterhouse last week, and we'll see it's 2 points dropped.
Aye, definitely. I think if you score away from home and at any level and you score 3 goals, you don't expect to not win the game. You expect to, do you know what I mean? You expect to win the game if you go away from home and you score 3 goals. So they will be really disappointed. I don't know what, I think I say it every week when I'm on here, I don't know what conditions were like where the wind machine was on up in Carluke, making it difficult for everybody. But aye, Carluke, they just, I don't know, they just don't seem to get enough wins, put enough wins together to get themselves up the table and challenging. And as a club, I like. Again, I like these kind of old-fashioned junior sides, and I like to see them doing well. But they seem to pick up the odd result here and there, especially at home because it's a nightmare place to go. But just don't do enough to really challenge anybody, to be honest.
Nah. You mentioned Eglinton. We'll finish up with them. 5-3 against Giffnock. Giffnock are very mixed bag this season. Obviously, after being very close to getting promoted last year, and then it just kind of fell away for them. Eglinton have got themselves 6 points away from the promotion spots with 2 games in hand, so potentially they could pull themselves right back into the hunt with a win or 2. I think they've needed that because we touched on it recently as well, the fact that they lost a couple of players who, was it Bonnet and they went to the...
Yep, Mark Walker and Chris Chisholm.
So losing the 2 of them was obviously could have a big impact, but that was good for them to get back on the hunt. And that's 4 wins out of 5 in the league. There's certain teams, apart from really Rossvale and Kello, who have stumbled recently. In that top 7, everybody's pretty much picking up points, and they're all keeping the pressure on, so it can be quite interesting.
Aye, there seems to be there's like a definitive half in the table,
Aye.
if you like, do you know what I mean? Like where you've got 5 or 6, well, I'd say 6 or 7 really strong teams, and then underneath no as strong, apart from Royal Albert, who, as we said, are on the way up. So you probably say that they're on the improve. But Eglinton, you spoke about the 2 boys leaving, but you know yourself, sometimes that can be a benefit. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sometimes especially if you're a manager, sometimes you need to make that difficult call. Just to, and I don't know if whether it was he wanted the boys to leave or the boys wanted to leave or
Aye.
whatever happened. But sometimes you just that can kind of give everybody a wee jag and freshen things up a wee bit and reinvigorate the other squad and help them improve. So they're going really well. It'd be interesting to see if they can win those games in hand. I don't know who they're against, but if they win those games in hand and put themselves in the fight, especially with Ross Vale having a wee bit of a stumble the last few weeks, and then Kello obviously stumbling as well. So we could be sitting here in a couple of weeks, and they could be up taking a fourth position. You know,
I
really
know.
pushing Easterhouse and West Park.
Aye, can I get the meetings an
Great
interesting
value for
setting
money
up
in
to
that
see.
league as well. The
Oh,
goals, man,
aye, it's
unbelievable.
yes, I
If you're
mean,
near a fourth division team, wherever you are in in the region, and you've got nothing to do on a Saturday afternoon, go and pay £7, £8, whatever it is. Take your dog, take your wains, whatever, and enjoy it because you get your value for money every single week in that league. It's brilliant.
43 goals in the fourth division yesterday.
Brilliant. Brilliant. You
43
can't. I
goals.
mean, where else are you going to get that kind of value? You know what I mean? And you can get a pint. You can get a pint, a pie, and a bit of banter, and you'll maybe see a guy in a wheelchair doing a pitch invasion. Do you know what I mean? So,
I know. I think that's as good a statement to end the show as any. But look, everybody, thanks for watching and listening. As always, Johnny, thanks for coming on, mate.
no
I
bother. Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me. Listen, hope you and your family and everybody listening has a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I'm actually going to check. I think we've got what we got next week.
I'm going to see Santa next Sunday,
You
so
got to see Santa, so
I'm
you'll not be playing.
out.
Next week, how many games do we have? 25 games next week.
Aye,
So a lot of league action. Then Mer Cup.
I know. West of Scotland,
Honestly,
West
Sakura
Cup.
Cup.
I
Sakura
know.
Cup. So that'll be us for another week. But I'm not sure who I'll have on next week. We'll have a wee look since my muck is leaving me. But look, everybody, thanks for watching as always, and enjoy the show. When I don't know what I'm talking about, man. Just have a good day and go and watch your local team next week. Take care. Cheers.